Hello there folks, so today you are looking at what is quite possibly one of the, if not the best flagship killer on the market right now. It is of course the one and only OnePlus 12, so put your hands together for it because it is, after all, bloody enticing. Silence, heathens, for we have a new contender, so rejoice in its enigmatic glory. How people are doing. So, Xiaomi 14. See, initially, back when I just started using this device, I think just based off the price tag alone, I kind of assumed that this phone is supposed to go up against the OnePlus 12 as a direct competitor, as a direct alternative to the OnePlus 12. That's not the case. Not even in the slightest. It is a contender, for sure. Basically, it was like this. Initially, when I started using it, I thought it was a competitor, and then I realized, well, no, it's really not. It has a completely different feature set, and so I just kept digging and digging and digging until I finally receive it. The answer: the Xiaomi 14 is meant for a completely different kind of a niche audience as opposed to the OnePlus 12. And yes, I will be referencing the OnePlus 12 a lot in this review. I'm telling you right now, it's gonna happen. It is the closest smartphone that we have for a beautiful comparative approach to the review. Otherwise, it's gonna take me 2 hours to explain everything about this device. So it's gonna happen, like it or not. Anyways, I think the Xiaomi 14, just the way it is and just the way it performs in every single scenario and every single aspect, I think it's really meant for an interesting set of people, and I might be one of them. So let me explain why. Look, the entire device as a whole, I've got some mixed feelings about it, to say the very least, but the cameras are the crux of this entire reasoning as to it being just a contender and being meant for a very different group of people, very different consumer base, and we'll get to the cameras soon enough. But first, I think we should address the rest of the device, right? The design. Let's just start right there, because for the love of all that is holy, why is this the design of the Xiaomi 14? It just bothers me so much, so very much, that this is the design Xiaomi stuck with. I mean, I complained about this ridiculously unfinished, not just simplistic, unfinished look that we get in the previous generation, the Xiaomi 13 Pro as well. And what bothers me is that Xiaomi can produce good designs. We had the Xiaomi 13 Ultra, which was beautiful, the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, which also looks beautiful. Why is the Xiaomi 14 so boring and just kinda ugly, I guess? Because it almost looks like they spent all their time on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, designing it to its maximum glory, and then just forgot about the Xiaomi 14. And then at the last one, we're like, okay, what's the simplest one we have? Square camera module, put it on, forget about it, that's all we have. Of course, we cannot forget the Leica branding that we have on the module itself, no less. Yeah, it really adds to the design, questionably enough. Look, I'm not trying to be unnecessarily rude to Xiaomi, but this is not it. This is not a design I expect from a 65,000-70,000 rupees phone, because simply there exists smartphones like the OnePlus 12 at a similar price tag again, and that thing has quite possibly one of the best, most beautiful looking designs that we have ever had in smartphones in the history of humanity. And then we have this, which looks like a matchbox. And to top it all off, I say this with the absolutely highest level of sarcasm that I can conjure, we have a beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, sensational, glossy finish. It's as if we as humans have somehow failed to learn anything from our past experiences over the last decade with smartphones, because we still have glossy finishes somehow. Anyways, you already know what the problems are with glossy finishes. It just blows my mind that we still have them. The Xiaomi 14 is, yeah, the design is not its forte now, is it? Also, it's a little odd that the Xiaomi 14, especially when you look at it up front, it looks so much like the iPhone 15 Pro. It really does resemble it, doesn't it? Because of the flat display, the really thin, very uniform bezels, which are quite nice. All it's missing is a pill cutout. That's all it really needs. And yes, we do get a flat display, and if you like them, good for you. I'm happy for you. But for me, that's not the case, not even in the slightest, because I always prefer a slight curve. I don't need a massive curve on any of my displays, that's unnecessary. A slight curve is more than enough because it feels better, looks so much more premium, and it feels nice when I hold a curved display as opposed to a flat display. Simple as that. That's my preference. I'm entitled to one after all, right? So anyways, let's talk about something much nicer now. The display. It really is very good, especially after talking about that train wreck of a design. Yes, it's harsh. Too bad. So is the design. I think the display, it ticks all the boxes that it needs to. It's just as good as many other displays that we get in many other premium smartphones, both at this price range and at a higher price range as well. So you're not gonna have any problems, to say the very least. It has all the usual good stuff. We have, I think, a 3008 peak brightness, which yes, the peak brightness, you won't always get it except for some HDR content viewing and maybe sometimes in the sunlight and some of the brightest parts of the display, they might hit 3000. The regular is, I think, 1000 nits, as far as I can remember. I think the only thing that is slightly subpar, it doesn't really affect anything in reality, but I should point it out, it is a 1200p display, like slightly higher than 1080p, so you don't get the Quad HD or Quad HD Plus resolution that you might get in many other devices. But to be honest, in a phone of this size, which is definitely smaller than many other smartphones, I think this is the smallest smartphone that I'm using right now, it's not a problem at all. It's more than good enough. I even forgot about it entirely for the good bit. I think it also has 10-bit color, far as I can remember. And well, look, the display is fantastic. Simple as that. I don't really need to drive it home here. The content consumption, the Dolby Vision on this thing looks stunning, by the way. And it's a good display. I really wish we had this level of finesse in the design, which is... Anyways, I don't want to talk about the design anymore. What I do want to talk about is the software, because look, I don't mind it, but I don't think it's all that great either. So if I were to just categorize, in terms of Android skins, I would say we have the One UI from Samsung, fantastic. We have Oxygen OS from OnePlus, incredible. And then thirdly, I do think right up there with those two is FunTouch OS from Vivo. And yes, before anyone mouths off in the comments that Vivo makes horrible software and all that jazz, trust me, they've gotten significantly better. I'm still using the X100 Pro and I have zero problems at all. It is a stunning OS that they have. The only problem with FunTouch OS is that the name is kind of weird. That's all the issue that I have. And I'm kind of picky about my OSs, which is why I have a problem with the HyperOS that Xiaomi has. Now, to be completely fair, this is new technically, like they're still tweaking it. Simply put, a lot of things are fine, but my main issue is that it lags a little, just a pinch in a lot of the animations, whether it's just opening up the folder or opening up the app drawer or just going in and out of an app, just swiping across the home screen, using the UI itself as a whole. It doesn't feel as buttery or as smooth as even something like One UI or FunTouch OS. And by lag, I don't really mean like it stalls or hangs up on me. No, it's just a micro stutter or just not a smooth curve in the animation. That's the best way I can explain it, to be entirely honest. And I'm pretty sure you cannot see it on camera because it's just like 25p and it's running at 120 Hz, so you're not gonna be able to see it in camera. You're gonna have to use it and see it for yourself if it actually bothers you or not. But for me, it does bother me, so it is a concern. Definitely something that I want to relay to you. But if you think about everything else, it's actually pretty good because the customizations and all that jazz, it offers quite a nice bit. There are some odd things missing, like we don't get round icon options, which kind of bothers me because I really prefer round icons as opposed to these, which kind of look like iPhone's icons, which I despise. But yeah, and this time I did check for round icons. I couldn't really find anything in the theme store either. Maybe it'll get updated or maybe it has been updated. I haven't checked in a while. But the fact is this, we don't get anything in the stock options, and that kind of bothers me. Also, there's this weird thing with the battery in the settings. The battery life is fine. It's in the settings when you click on battery. you would expect at the very least to see screen on time, right? You don't get it there. And at first I thought we didn't have screen on time, and I was kind of distressed about it because that's one of the best metrics for me to check out how good the battery is. It shows you a lot of things. It shows you that it's been active for a certain amount of time. It predicts how long it's going to last. All that stuff is good and all, but you need to go to, I think, digital well-being, and there you find your battery screen on time on a particular day, and that's why is it not integrated? I mean, this just immediately screamed at me that the software experience itself is a little unfinished, especially in like the edges, like the battery screen on time and stuff like that. The basic stuff, it's all good and it's all fine. And I think it's not that big a deal, to be completely fair, on the Xiaomi 14, which is at a lower price, but it really makes me concerned about the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, because if this is the same exact experience that we have there, yeah, I might have a few more complaints, because I think it's significantly more expensive, isn't it? But of course, it's not here yet. I'm not going to judge it for that. Now then, performance and battery. Look, I'm not going to waste time on this. We already know it's going to be good, right? Because we have the best chipset that we can have on any Android smartphone right now. And essentially, I've had no problems. There have been no throttling or heating issues. It's been fairly smooth, except for the little bit of lag in the software, which is entirely a software problem. It doesn't have anything to do with the chipset itself. And then battery life, I mean, come on. This thing has great battery life, simple as that. I think I got 6.5 hours very consistently, and it's never been a problem, simple as that. Now, I did forget to mention one thing, the fingerprint scanner, which it's actually very good. I do believe that it needs to position slightly higher. It's a little too low, and I don't really like that. You get used to it, sure, especially if you're using the same smartphone on the daily basis, you're not gonna have any problems. So with all of that said and done, now that you understand that this phone is not perfect, not by a long shot, there's still a very distinctive audience for this. A unique set of people who will definitively want the Xiaomi 14 as opposed to almost any other device because of just what it can offer. So let's break it down, shall we? The cameras themselves, they're fine, kinda inconsistent in terms of regular automatic photos that you get from the phone. It's not really meant for that though. And someone pointed out previously in a camera comparison, and look, the point is this. In a camera comparison, I'm trying to compare the regular photos that regular people are gonna take. That's the whole point. But I do completely understand that this phone is not meant for regular photography. This phone is meant for taking pro photos, professional type of photography and videography. That's where it really shines, because it has a really good pro mode, but of course, I do understand that there needs to be a balance between the automatic photos and videos that you can take out of this, and also the professional side of things, the professional feature set that we get. So it kind of leans a little bit more towards the professional set, but it is important to know where this phone can handle itself in the automatic mode as well. So I think when you take regular photos, you're gonna find that it is very underprocessed. Now this is something that kind of bothers me a little, because as I said again, a balance is of esteemed importance here. Essentially, you get photos that look very nice, and I absolutely love the Leica Authentic and the Leica Vibrant options that we get. Both are fairly distinctive and both of them provide really good results. The underprocessing is mostly in the sharpening department, which I get it. A lot of people don't like sharpening, and there are phones out there that will over sharpen, but there's a difference between sharpening photos just enough to bring out the details that are present in the photo that was taken, as opposed to over sharpening. Over sharpening is what leads to artifacting and haloing, and it makes photos look very artificial and very amateurish. That's not what I want. I want some sharpening to be added to the photos so that the details that are kind of suppressed in there, maybe because of noise reduction and stuff like that, it gets brought out just enough so that we can see it, so that it is embellished a little, so that we can really appreciate the detail that can be brought out by these incredible sensors that we have. The sensors are fairly good and they're uniformly good, which is quite nice. But especially with the ultra-wide camera, I've noticed that the underprocessing can be very drastic, and you can really tell, even without zooming in or checking out or pixel peeping or any of that jazz, you can very easily tell that when I compared this, especially against the OnePlus 12, if I'm remembering it right, the ultra-wide, the difference between the two ultra-wide shots, even in regular daylight, I could immediately tell that the textures were so much sharper, so much nicer to look at. And that is just sharpening and sharpening the right amount. Now, when it comes to human subjects like selfies and portraits, oh god, it is so inconsistent, like damn. And especially with regular selfies, it is very inconsistent. With portrait selfies, for some reason, it produces fairly stunning looking shots. Like, I really like the way it handles the contrast and the skin tones with portrait selfies specifically. I don't really know the reasoning behind why that's the case, but it is the way it is. And then when it comes to the rear camera portraits, I think Leica Authentic is usually the way to go, but it can also desaturate quite heavily sometimes. The consistency is a real problem. If you don't really mind taking multiple shots whenever you're taking human subjects and maybe trying both the Leica Vibrant and Authentic at the same time, sure, then it won't be that much of a problem. You will get some good shots at the very least, but yeah, you cannot just hope that yes, you're gonna point, shoot, and then put the phone in your pocket being completely confident that it's gonna be a good shot. That's just not the way this phone works. And to be fair, if you are willing to experiment around and play around with the cameras, then there's a lot you can do. We'll get to it. But first, let me talk about the night mode. And I cannot stress enough just how good the night mode is, just how much I really prefer the night mode on this as opposed to many other smartphones out there. Because the fact is this, personally speaking, I really like night shots that look like they're nighttime shots. Essentially, I want nice high contrast that we get naturally at night with just the way streetlights work. And I really like a dark night sky. It just works for me. I don't know why it works, but it does. It looks right. To my eyes, it does. If you want brighter images, actually you can get them. So the way you can get the natural nighttime looking images is by using like Authentic. But if you want slightly brighter shadows and don't mind a brighter night sky as well, then you can use like a Vibrant, which yes, it will give you more vibrant results, not as natural as the name would indicate, I guess. But you do get a bit of an option in that regard as well, which is rare. And with the Xiaomi 14 Ultra coming around, I think that phone might just have the best night mode, period. Maybe, again, I'm not really sure. But regardless, the video side of things, I think it's good. It looks very nice, and you know, I've made a whole video comparison, actually 2 video comparisons with both the X100 Pro, which by the way, if you didn't know, has fantastic video, and also the OnePlus 12, which again, similar price tag, you can really get a good idea as to just how good this is. And it is very good in various cases, it just works quite nicely. However, you don't really want to use auto mode all the time, right? Especially not with this device. You're not gonna get the full benefit of this one's cameras, simple as that. What you want to do is of course use Pro mode, more often than not even. And what you can do is use both the 50 megapixel mode and the Ultra RAW to get high-res, very high quality RAW images, and you can just edit the hell out of it. You can do whatever you want almost. And yes, it is limited to the main camera, which is kind of a bummer. Like, why don't we get the same thing, same high-res and RAW with the ultra wide or the telephoto? I don't know, but that's just the way it is. To be completely fair, this is one of the best smartphones for RAW photography. You might also be thinking, well, every other smartphone has RAW photography, so what's so special about this one? It's not. It's very good RAW photography features that you get, simple as that. What you don't get in most of the smartphones, with very few exceptions in that regard, is log video. And it's a little limited on this one. I only say it's limited because essentially you can only shoot 4K 30 log video from the main camera. In case you're wondering, yes, you can also shoot at 24p if you really want the cinematic experience. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of log video, right? But let me tell you this much. A smartphone at this price point giving you log capabilities, that too extremely beautiful and high quality log capabilities, it's a rare thing, to say the very least. It's just, log video looks so beautiful, and the only other smartphone that I have at this moment that can also do log is the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which, as you might know, is ridiculously expensive, especially in India. I think log video is for someone, and this phone as a whole is for someone who is interested in the professional side of things, both professional photography and videography, but is also not quite in that circle yet. They haven't really gotten into the woodworks, but they want to try it out. This is the best place to start. Think about it. You don't have to buy a camera to try out, high quality raw photography. You don't have to worry about the log video that you can get. You can just buy this phone and you can go around, shoot stuff, try it out, see if this professional stuff is meant for you even. So this phone is indeed meant for that niche of people, that unique niche. And well, think about it. Maybe someone just wants to learn color grading. They don't have to worry about downloading stock or raw or log footage from the internet. They can just shoot it. And they know exactly how stuff looks in real life, and they can take it into the editor. Maybe you want to learn color grading, DaVinci Resolve is the best way to do it. That's the one I use. And you could really learn some good stuff with this, and then maybe later on find out that yes, this is the path I want to take. I want to invest in a brand new camera, something like the Sony a7 IV or something like that. I'm such a huge fan of vlog video in general that it's very hard for me to pass up on it. And I get the feeling that there are some people out there who really want to dive into it. It's a possibility. So with that said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, found this helpful, because I do think that there is a very unique audience for this. It's not the majority of the people, but well, that's just the way this phone is built. Anyways, I'll be seeing you guys soon enough with many more to come, especially when the Xiaomi 14 Ultra gets here. Oh man, that's gonna be so good. Cheers.